Well, good morning, everybody. What's going on? Got another video right now. It's kind of early out here, 8:46 Central Time, USA. And I don't have too many thoughts this morning. I'm going in to go to the gym. It's treadmill day, so I'm just doing cardio. Then I got a live stream later. Live stream 2 p.m. Eastern time. 2 p.m. Central time. I'm gonna struggle with that. I'm gonna struggle with that for the rest of my life, dude. Yeah, I'm streaming twice a week going forward, 2 p.m., Tuesday and Thursday, and I haven't really experienced too much today so far. I'm just kind of tired, so I'm gonna read the Bible, especially since there's a lot of scripture to get through. So today we have Genesis 18 and 19, and I believe this is Lot getting captured and also Lot getting rescued. So the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So let's get into it. I shouldn't be this tired, but I am. I'm trying to work on it. I got my coffee here. I'm going inside to get my schwitz, get a schwitz on, and get my study on. I'm trying to be a responsible adult. Is that what this is what like 18-year-olds do, by the way. Anyway, all right. Genesis 18. And the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre. What's the significance of that? I want to know the significance of the oaks of Mamre. As he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. So this is when the three men, I don't know whether this is one of them's God, all three of them are God, and who are the three men, but let's read it again. And the Lord appeared to him. I guess one of the three men must be the Lord, because the Lord appeared to him. This is going to be the longest video ever. I can just feel it. I can feel it in my bones. And the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, three men were standing in front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth and said, O Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, while I bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant. So they said, do as you have said. And Abraham went quickly to the tent to Sarah. Abraham went quickly into the tent to Sarah and said, Quick, 3 seahs of fine flour, knead it and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to a young man who prepared it quickly. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, Where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, She is in the tent. The Lord said, always important to keep reading. Seems like this theme comes up now and again in these here videos. And the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. The way of woman had ceased to be with Sarah. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, After I am worn out and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure? The Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh and say, Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you about this time next year, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. He said, No, but you did laugh. Then the men set out from there, and they looked down toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I have chosen him, that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave. I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know. So here's the famous prayer of Abraham, him interceding for Sodom. So the men turn. There's a lot of gravy in here that I'm just skipping over. So yeah, the Lord, I guess, is one of these three, right? And then they go to Sodom. So we're all three the Lord? What's the deal there? So Genesis 18:22. So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the Lord said, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham answered and said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord, I who am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy it. I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he, Abraham, said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again but this once. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way. And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. So now we got Sodom and Gomorrah. So now it's 2 angels coming to Sodom in the evening. Maybe, I'm one of these people that I'm like, yeah, on one hand, like, yeah, we'll know in heaven. We'll know one day when we talk to the Lord. But I'm also these days more one of these people that I don't think we're going to care. I don't think we're going to care. Like, God's going to be like, do you really care at this point? Maybe I'm just getting the whole thing wrong, right? But I wonder, so now there's 2 angels going to see Lot, and the Lord had spoken to Abraham in the previous chapter. But let's read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and then we'll wrap up. I'm starting to feel the caffeine. I want to go get running. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth, and said, my lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, no, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. Lot went out to the men at the entrance. Shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing against these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they said, stand back. And they said, this fellow came to sojourn, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and they drew near to break the door down. This is like one of the most wicked stories in the entire Bible, man. Just picturing what this must have looked like. I mean, it says every man down to the last man was gathered outside of Lot's home and seeking to rape these men. And that is so unspeakable of an act that Lot finds it suitable to offer his daughters instead, dude. And these guys know what they're doing. These guys are like, we're going to do worse with you. They know this is wrong. They know this is bad. Sodom must have gotten so jacked up near the end there for it to be this bad, because God doesn't destroy. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying in the real world. I'm saying in the Bible, when God gets his utter destruction on, it literally, there's usually not one redeemable person there left. You know, the flood, the iniquity of the Amorites, Sodom and Gomorrah, it's usually wicked to the core. It must have been so jacked up. What if it's worse now? It'd be so funny if it was worse now, and it might be. So anyway, Genesis 19:9, but they said, stand back. And they said, this fellow came to sojourn, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot and drew near to break the door down. But the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so that they wore themselves out groping for the door. And I've always wondered what that looks like too. Like, does the door open from the inside? So they pushing the door out, grabbing Lot, pulling him in while striking with blindness? Or does it open in and you pull him in and they're trying to get in the door? I don't know. I've always wondered what this specific scene looks like. So now Genesis 19:12. Correct. Yeah, 19:12. Yeah. And the men said to Lot, these are now the angels or the Lord or whoever. These are probably angels. Then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone else you have in the city? Bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place because of the outcry against its people. Because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Answers my question. This is not the Lord. This is two of his messengers or whatever. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters. Epic fail not listening to the father-in-law here. You know. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters, up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. As morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. And as they brought them out, one said, escape for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. And Lot said to them, oh no, my lords, behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot escape to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me and I die. Such an interesting verse. I mean, what was he talking about? Is he talking about the thing that happened to Sodom? Why would that happen? Why would that happen in the hills and not in a city? He says, behold, this city is near enough to flee. Behold, this city is near enough to flee to, and is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? and my life will be saved. He said to them, Behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. And it's interesting, we're of course going to keep reading, but all these pictures, again, the VBS approach to the Bible. It's like they're in the hills and Sodom is in viewing distance. And then Lot's wife looks back and she becomes a pillar of salt. But that's not what it says here. It says he cannot do anything until he gets to the city called Zoar. And he's also saying that it's like a piece of evidence that the city is a little city. He says it twice. It's like a piece of evidence that matters, that the city is small. He's saying if the disaster will overtake me if I stay in the hills. Will you allow me to go to this city? It's a little city, Lord. Keep in mind, it's a little city. What does that mean? What significance does that have? I'm sure I can just look it up, but I'd rather just speak into the camera. It's better for me, I think. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. All right, so 1923, home stretch here. Oh no, then we got drunken Lot getting his freak on, dude. Not cool. All right. 1923. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. So they're not like in the hills, dude. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And also, parts of the Bible are out of order. I mean, it might have been like he, on the way to Zoar, this happened, and she was still on the way. She was behind him. They were probably traveling in a caravan. Maybe she wasn't right next to him. Maybe she was a mile back, something like that. I don't know. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord. And he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the valley. And he looked, and behold, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had lived. It's interesting, yet overthrew. Destroyed the cities. He overthrew the cities. He said something about the inhabitants. Anyway. Just to say that they overthrew. Yeah, okay. He overthrew those cities in all the valley. I mean, look, the cultural connotations, the presuppositions, to us, we just think that's like overthrowing the government. I'm sure it just meant he destroyed it. So it was that. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. He calls it the overthrow, when he had overthrew the cities in which Lot had lived. All right. Now Lot went up out of Zoar and lived in the hills. So he said he's going to the city. Now he's not. So Lot went up out of Zoar and lived in the hills with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to live in Zoar. So he lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. So they thought the world ended. Yeah, like whatever happened in Sodom and Gomorrah was so calamitous, is the word? The calamity was so insane that they thought the world ended, basically. For he was afraid to live in Zoar, so he lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him. that we may preserve offspring with our father. So they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. The next day the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you may go and lie with him, that we may preserve offspring from our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day. Pretty epic, man. Well, I'm going to go work out. Not a big lesson to spiel over here, and that's all right. But yeah, God is good. Don't look back. Yeah, these cards, people need to learn how to drive, man. That's my closing message, okay? That's my closing message, okay? All right. I'm going to go work out, and got a stream at 2 p.m. later today, Tuesday and Thursday. Going to see how that goes. I feel pretty good about it. No one can hang out during the day in the week anyway, so I might as well do stuff, right? I just want friends. I'm just lonely, Mr. Lonely. I have nobody on my own. And that note's up there. I love you. See ya. Read your Bibles. Goodbye.